Ever had any success telling yourself to stop hearing? Or telling your brain, let's just skip the thinking thing today? Yeah, didn't think so. And that's not just weird human behavior. It's a direct hit on the biggest identity scam running in your head. The illusion of control, also known as the illusion of self. Today, we're tackling one of the Buddha's shorter but more brutally clarifying teachings, the Anattalakkana Sutta, or the characteristics of not-self. And trust us, if you've ever wondered why you seem to be your own worst enemy, this sutta explains exactly why, and how to finally get out of your own way. Let's set the stage. In our ongoing quest for effective Zen, we've been unpacking the 3 conditions required for Buddhism to actually function. First, an enlightened teacher. Second, a clear picture of the path. And last, an understanding of the obstacles expected along the way. And surprise, turns out the last and biggest obstacle is you, or more precisely, the version of you that's built on a misreading of the self. So we turn to the Buddha's second discourse, the Anattalakkana Sutta. 6 sections, endless implications. Let's dig in. First up, the prologue, classic Buddhist sutta intro. Thus I have heard. Translation, buckle up. And with the prologue, we learn that it's the Buddha speaking, and that the audience is the gang of 5 monks from the Buddha's time as an ascetic. The second section, and this is where the fireworks start. It is here that the Buddha claims the 5 aggregates: form, consciousness, perception, feeling, and volition are something he calls not-self. Sounds simple, isn't? So what's really going on? Let's break it down. First, in addition to the common notion of a self, the Buddha introduces the notion of a not-self. While undoubtedly both confusing and revolutionary, this idea is actually a natural consequence of his first discourse, which concluded that all is impermanent. That is, if the self is impermanent, then there must be a time of not-self. Next, with this notion of self and not-self, the Buddha seems to imply that the 5 aggregates must be placed in one of these 2 buckets. Seems reasonable, but then he ups the stakes. The Buddha argues that none of the 5 aggregates can be fully commanded. And so, if you can't simply tell yourself to stop hearing or stop thinking, then those things simply can't possibly be the self, or even parts of the self. And so the 5 aggregates must be the not-self. And a last bit of subtlety in this second section. Let's realize that the not-self never tries to command or grasp. And so the characteristics of the aggregates as impermanent do not create a problem. Very crucial. In the third section, the Buddha targets that inner voice, the one referring to any of the 5 aggregates as, this is mine, I am this is myself. The Zen master, Joshu Sasaki, would call this the plus activity, the grasping, labeling, identity-building activity. And the Buddha states that if you really understood the impermanence of the aggregates, you'd never make such claims. Why? Because staking your identity on a sandcastle is the fast lane to suffering. Then in the 4th section, we get the counterbalance. The Buddha offers a new mantra. This is not mine. I am not this. This is not myself. Sasaki would call this the minus activity, the loosening of the grip, the voice that returns you from the I am self to the zero self. The 5th section is where things are pulled together. This isn't just metaphysical gymnastics. This shift, from clinging to releasing, is the manifestation of crossing to the far shore. And with the last crossing, incomplete understanding gives rise to complete understanding, resulting in the natural rhythm of self and not self. Call it flow, call it stillness. The Buddha just calls it nothing more to attain. Finally, the epilogue. The gang of 5 monks on the far shore. How? While listening, they stop grasping. That's it. Totally absorbed in the moment, they experience the understanding that they pursued through years of ascetic practices. So what do we take away? Buddhism doesn't say the self is unreal. It says the not-self is also real, and so often misunderstood. The self isn't inherently good or bad, it just happens. The reality is, of course, that ultimately, it is the self that grasps, and it is grasping that is the source of suffering. So, whenever your internal monologue starts clinging to form, consciousness, perception, feeling or volition, know that you have a choice. And not choosing? It's the dance between self and not self. Misread the true nature of the self and you're stuck. See it clearly and you're free. And now, the question for next episode: can we now start to reconcile zero?